Hey, welcome to SAW. This is the fourth, I think, of a talk in self-publishing and publishing and printing and distribution. And it's my experience. It's only my experience, and the industry is so big and weird and different that everybody's experience is going to be a little different. I want to say two things before I start talking about publishing with the bigger publisher. I've been published with and agents and things like that, which is that I was living in New York City for a very long time, and about the time the graphic novel boom was happening, and I was desperate to get published in that way, and I never really could fit into that, and I'm not so hubristic as to say that I was too much of my own vision or something like that. I just don't think I'm good at following another's lead, and maybe I'm not that good at reaching people en masse. Sorry, I'm picking up some stray pieces of paper here. There we go. I am good at making myself happy with my own creations when I follow my own lead and I follow my own muse, and that process delights me to no end. I love creating things, and I love reaching a few people. But when I try to plug myself into that channel, that is the mainstream channel, and by mainstream I don't mean Marvel DC, I just mean big bookstores and you get written up here or there or whatever. I fail because it's just not where I'm supposed to be, I don't think, and that's fine. I think where I'm supposed to be is doing my small projects, which delight me, finding the people for whom it delights, and it does delight somebody. I was happy enough to see one of my students really cracking up at that the other day. I was like, oh yay, I've been seen. And then teaching. Anyway, so, but when it became obvious I was doing a book about the death of my daughter, it seemed like this might be worth pitching, because I knew it was going to be a big book. I knew it was going to be a big project, and I also felt like it was a story to share. It was not so much, I think it was Laurie Moore, but I can't remember, but there's somebody who I remember talking with another writer at the time who knew this anecdote about somebody who had experienced a great deal of trauma and grief, and was finally sort of processing it through books, and her attitude was, fuck you, pay me. I did not reach that point, I really, but I did feel like this might be the book to pitch. So I found an agent. How did I find an agent? I knew of two other people with agents. I contacted them both. One didn't want it. She said it was a little too raw for her, and one did. How did it work after that? With 70 some pages, I think I have them somewhere here. Oh yeah. So, and if you've ever been in my graphic memoir group, you've seen actually the entire PDF of it, but mini comics, again, self-published. I was getting it out there. I was risographing and playing around with the risograph, but I was risographing it, going to conventions and getting that out there, sending it to John Porcellino, who was a distribution network at the time. This would be 2013, no, 2012, I don't know, one of those, and getting it out there. So I had 75 pages at a certain point, and an outline, and a few, and my agent said, do a few pages of the end, and we'll pitch it around. And so I did, and I have that PDF. I never had a hand copy of it, so I can't wave it in front of you. And the story is not the story you'd like to hear. It's not like, oh my God, 5 publishers wanted it. There was a bidding war. I've heard these stories from friends of mine. Whatever. It was one publisher who was like, I think so. I think we can. Okay. It didn't seem. My agent came back to me and said, I think you should go with it. It's not, it's not the greatest deal, but it's the only one that came back with some positive language in it. So we took it. I did the best book I could. I would have done it anyway. That would have done the best book I could. And I'm proud of it. and the book came out, I had a really great relationship with my copy editor and the promotional people. I worked with them. My editors, the two editors, were great also. Michael Hamler, hi Michael, and Lauren Jablonski, hi. And I should mention Meg Thompson, my agent, thank you for all the help in that. I did a book trailer, one of those video book trailers that the promo people really loved. They were like, holy crap. I was like, I'm a storyteller, it's not that hard. Anyway, with enough push, I was ready to talk about it because the book was done, and I wanted to talk about it, and the hook was there, you know. I mean, it's just luck's the wrong word, but just the synergy of cultural forces. People were interested in grief stories at the moment, and so it wasn't too hard to get a little promotion and a little bit of interest from New York Magazine or other magazines. So it debuted at #1 on the graphic novel charts. What does that mean? I've never said this in public before. I've said it in public at the school, but I've never said it on video. What does that mean? So I called up my agent. I said, what does that mean, #1? She went to the publisher. And to this day, I'm so dumbfounded that I don't remember the exact number, but it was either 250 or 350 copies. That's what it took to become #1 for that week on the bestseller list. So it's not like the word bestseller sounds great. 350 copies does not sound great. I don't care. But I did a good book, I think. People liked it. My publisher seemed happy, and so when I pitched them another book, there was interest. That book became this book. It was a book I wanted to process. This book. I wanted to process the art, what it was to make a graphic memoir. So I pitched them a how-to book. I have this habit of, after finishing big projects, of sort of making a how-to book about what I just did. This book was done right after I did 4 or 5 years of comic strips. We'll see if there's more of those to come in the future. So I'm actually at this stage right now where I'm doing a variety of things. I have some sketches and notes and some finished art from let me backtrack one moment. I started outlining not a sequel to this, but another memoir that would be about having a second child and about having the distant memory of a first child. Somewhere out there on my blog and stuff is a picture of the outline for that book. It was 28 pages long. The outline itself was 28 pages, and I realized this is nuts. I'm never going to make this. It's also like just a plan, and it's a great plan. There's some great things there, but I can't. The heat isn't there to turn a 28-page book into a 400-page book or something, where it was for this book. You know, even though it's not 28-page outline, it was probably 3. That said, so this is also about distribution and publishing and things, when Vanessa Davis and Trevor Axelopoulos from Popula said, hey, we're doing comic strips. Do you have anything that you might like to do as a comic strip? I took one section. Here's this outline, 28 pages. I took one section at the end of the outline. It was for a memoir, but it wasn't really, it had a lot of fiction in it, and I took one line from that, and I created this. I was like, yes, there's a scene in my memoir that's never going to happen that is about a guy lying on his back, and he's dying, and he's been, anyway, it doesn't matter what it is, because this is about publishing. And I said, yes, I'd like to do that as a comic strip, a weekly comic strip, and that's what this became. I'm very, very proud of this work. It really brought me to the next phase, which is in the future. I don't know what that phase is, but it brought me to something somewhere I really wanted to be. So that was about being online. Again, I self-published it. I don't know what's going to happen to this. I'm not sending this to my agent. This is totally weird and kind of psychotic. But I like sharing it, and I like when people get it. So That said, I am thinking about, you know, publishing, distribution, self-publishing. All of these things exist. So I have lots of projects, sort of some in my head, some on pieces of paper, some on computers and stuff. When I get a little bit further past on this, I might send this to a small network of self-publishers or small publishers that I know. I know the people at Retrofit. The people at Retrofit know other people. I can say, do you think this book is going to work for anybody? Do you think the people at that publisher are interested? Are you guys interested? And if you're not, then I'm going to self-publish it if I believe in it enough. And so we'll see where that goes. Meanwhile, I've got a couple other teaching books in the hopper, and I'm starting to think, you know, I've got a good relationship with my agent and publisher. Maybe it's time to sort of submit something to them and see if we can work something out. But I'm always going to stay self-publishing. I love making these mini comics when we make them at the school. No one's going to see them. Every once in a while we make a tiny little video of some of them. These are lovely. Printing and publishing, art and story is all, it's just about it's all about sharing. When I was 18 and I was at SVA, a woman who from Central America came. She was an artist. I don't even remember what class she came to, and she talked about her art. And I think she was doing murals. I don't even remember. But she said, all my art is also offerings. And that stuck with me. And at the time I just thought, oh, it's just something she said and something that stuck with me. But the truth is I don't remember a single other thing she said. Why did that stick with me? And it's 30 years later, or 25, or I'm not doing the math right now, to be honest. You know, it stuck with me because that's the person that was the thing I was supposed to hear, you know? And so that's why my first book was called Art and Offerings. It's because I heard that from her, whoever she is. And we each have to find our own place. And I'm not going to make a graph or a chart or any kind of like Venn diagram or anything. I don't know what it looks like, and I don't care. We have to find out why we make our art, why we make our stories, what matters when we make it, what matters, you know, how we make it, and who sees it, and what we get in return, what we ask for in return, what we give in return when people see it. All of these things are just a negotiation you make with your art and your people, and they're all different for everybody. What happens is, and the sad thing is, we all get blinded by the need to be next to Stephen King on the bookshelves or anything. And you know, and we get, you know, jealous when we see whoever on NPR. You don't hear things, you don't see things on NPR, you hear them. You know what I mean, though. Make your art. Find your people. Your people know things too. Your people know, like Instagram stories are the way to go. Everyone's, you know, your people know how they want to share, and share with them. And if you want to, you know, don't take the mainstream culture's word for how you should feel about your work. The approval of the mainstream culture is whimsical. It may come or may not. You have to find people who you value and who can see the value in you. And I hope you find those people. I worry too much sometimes that I shrink that number too small reflexively, because I don't want to be judged or rejected by too large of a group. So I say, okay, I'll make this for 6 people, or I won't finish it even, you know, when I don't finish something, I know that's what's happening, is that I don't want to share it because I don't want to be rejected. This is becoming a sermon instead of a video about distributing and publishing and things like that. But I hope it's been helpful. You can get your work out there. You can be seen. You can't know that you're gonna make a bestseller. You can't know that you're gonna get the eye of agents and editors. They've got their own things going on. Sometimes your paths and their paths cross, and other times they don't. And don't worry about it. Sometimes what we want is things to be easier, and God knows I want that. Like, sometimes we want to be able to be just like, just send the box of artwork and let somebody else deal with it, but it rarely works that way. A lot of times you have to be the one who's finding the people who want to see it. And it's kind of a drag, but it's also life, and it's also life in a good way. I mean, it's also the act of communing with people. There's a lot of factors to it. Again, I'm sorry this is more of a sermon, but I hope this has been helpful. This is the 4th video I've made about producing and publishing and distributing, and it's twice as long as the others, and thanks for bearing with me. I hope to see you down here at the school sometime. We do great things. We make these little mini comics, which, go in our jar. I really appreciate you watching this video. I appreciate whatever platform you're watching this on, and I appreciate if you're in one of our courses. I appreciate that. Thanks.